Okay, this is another video on rsync, including the include and exclude, mostly focusing on exclude, but basically they go hand in hand. But so then in order to use the include, you pretty much excluded something. So you're basically things that you excluded basically as a set of information, and then you actually want to include one thing in that whole group. I'll give you a few demonstrations at the end of what I'm doing here, but I'm going to focus on how mostly the exclude works. Now my setup here, I'm using Polo as my file manager because it has quadrants and the GUI seems to be a little bit friendlier. On my desktop, I got 3 folders on my desktop. Test 1, test 2, test 3. Test 1's right here on the far left, upper left. And then in this area right here, it's empty, is test 2. And then test 3 is the folder on the lower left side. And test 1 and test 3 would be source folders, and test 2 is going to be destination. Everything's going to be moving into the destination. So they should be populating everything here. Excuse me. So what I wanted to show and discuss pretty much, again, start off with some command line help. rsync-h has a lot of information about how the inputs and output works and not works. There's also the man pages of rsync, which has a lot of real useful information about the include and exclude and more options on it. So it's down towards the lower ending of it. I showed you the rsync minus help in my last video, so I'm trying not to go over the same materials too much the same, but there's a lot of information in this series that I want to cover, but I'm just focusing on the include and exclude in this statement. But you can just do the man pages and so forth. I'm going to clear this real quick. Clear that. So let's go right here. Where I left off in my last video was right here. I'm just using the -A, V, and delete options. I've mentioned that in my last video. The source in this case is test 1 and the destination is test 2. And it's copying all the contents from here to there. And when you execute it, it should just basically be a mirror image at this point in time. Now here's the pattern from the -h help of rsync. The exclude pattern and the include pattern. Excludes files matching pattern and don't exclude files matching pattern. So this include is actually a subset of exclude in here. So basically, when you excluded something, and there's something in there that you actually want to keep, you can have a special include that says copy it over. Here is information that's also in the man pages. Is that if the pattern starts with /, then it is anchored to a particular spot in the hierarchy of files. Otherwise, it matches against the end of the path name. I'll give you an example of that a little bit later, but let's just start with basically how the basic syntax it is. I'm going to basically explore 2 basic concepts: copying the folder and all of its contents, and then copying the folder and none of its content. So that's what the first 2 commands are basically about. It's really simple, and I'm using the basic syntax: hyphen exclude, and then a space, then single quotes A, and then source and destination, copies, this is what it's doing, and it didn't copy A as expected. So let's clear the screen and let's go into the next one. So this one, this command is going to copy the directory but not the contents. So now you got A, and then a hyphen, then a forward slash and an asterisk indicating the files. So you write that, and then it's still, you see it copies stuff over. And there's the A directory right here, and there's nothing in it in here, but there's something in it over here. So that has some usefulness in how it works. Now, when you see a lot of documentation, you see the equal sign being here. So the next few commands are pretty much going to work. It's just that you can use, and it's focusing on, connecting to the equal sign. So what you see here, as you see, here's the equals A, which is directly connected to the equal sign. And it didn't do the A. Same with the when it's connected directly to the with apostrophe. So you can see the command was with single quotes. Same effect. And let's go do the one with double quotes. Now these all work. I gotta pause this for a second and see. Okay, getting back to the video. See, the reason why I went through each one of those sequences because these will not work. If you put in, if you put a space between the equal signs and the A, or even the double quotes or single quotes, there's the code, and it clearly included the A folders. I'm not going to demonstrate all of that. I have already kind of killed that point. But what I am going to do to kill a little bit more is using the double quotes, or not the double quotes, but the parentheses, or brackets, excuse me. It's the right word for it, I guess. You sit here and look. So if you put just the A right next to each other, it's still basically copies the whole thing. It doesn't exclude anything. And I'm going to show that. I'm going to demonstrate that with the next one on this real quick, the prove to the point. So, and you can do that same with each one of these other ones. I'm going to prove that with doing the, single quotes. And still, you see the A, so obviously it doesn't work. If you're doing a single item in the brackets, but if you do more than one, it works. But before I get to doing the brackets a little bit more, I wanted to kind of start focusing on on using the forward slash in the A. Start giving you kind of like a little working model of how it's copying copying over. So now this is, you're excluding the forward slash and the A. Now what this is going to do is this is just going to do, like I mentioned earlier, from up here, you're actually just, if it starts with, it's the anchor of the particular spot. So it's basically the root of the source directory is where it's starting. So right here, so there's a root of source, and it's just doing the A. So if we execute this command, the A is not there, but if you go into B, there's an A here, and it's still there, and its contents. And you can do, and that still does the same thing with each one of the other ones, single quotes and double quotes. I'm not going to show you that, but more. Now let's go a little bit further, and let's do the exclude without the equal sign. And that works. And it's going to work for each one of the other versions. Now I'm going to just do the other one with the double quotes, just to be a little bit more detailed, but I don't want to go through the whole thing, make this video too long. But basically the idea here is I'm trying to show you the syntax and many different ways this thing would not work for you. So again, same thing. A is not there, but if you go into the B, A is here and its contents. Now let's start adding a little bit more complexity. So now you're excluding this. So if you go to the syntax to exclude, let me put this in the bigger table, make it easier for everyone to read. You got exclude, you can actually start compounding the excludes. So one exclude with asterisk.txt, so it's going to exclude all the text files with a .text on the end, and then it's going to exclude everything in the A column and then port out that. So now if you look at this, so we got so you got one text file here, and no text file there, and no text file there, and text file here, and C, and Z is empty. So let's see what happens here. So I'd execute that, and C doesn't seem like that has a text, and doesn't have the text here. So you just added exclude on the file level, a specific file, and actually a grouping of files in this particular case. So that is multiple directories. Just to demonstrate that you can have 1, 2, 3. You can start stacking up your excludes into the files. We're going to get this so we don't have to see what's happening here. So now we exclude A, B, and all the text files. Okay, the next one that I wanted to do. Okay, now we're going back to the brackets. And this is, so you need to have more than one item in the brackets basically in order for it to function correctly. So with one item, it doesn't actually work. But if you start putting two items in there, it starts actually beginning to work correctly. So again, everything A and B is excluded in the grouping, and this is better than exclude A than exclude B, exclude C, etc., etc., etc. Excuse me. And that works. So, and again, the reason why I have I'm working on the syntaxes of each one of these items. So here you got single quotes, double quotes. These will all also work. I'm going to show you the single quotes this time. Single quotes works. So now I want to actually demonstrate this one right here. So this is A and the root of B. So this is not going to delete anything that's a subfolder in B. If I recall correctly, C has a B directory, so it shouldn't delete that one. And so B is not deleted, and that's basically because you're starting off at the root and you're just getting B and you're not going any further than that. Now to exclude a specific file, I kind of already mentioned, we already kind of did the text files already, so I'm not going to go into that. But what I want to do here is start showing you error message, how to handling errors, because this syntax is actually incorrect. And from here you say this should be, getting rid of, not copying, excluding the text files in A and B. But when I run that, here, let me delete this real quick. When I run this, nothing seems to work. And the syntax looks totally correct, and I'm wondering what's happening here. And I want to go into some troubleshooting tips on how to figure this out. I mean, it's actually a really easy fix, but just want to show you a bug and the error message. So here's how to handle errors. Suppress error messages. You got a -Q in the Q. So this is the same command. I'm not going to run the exact same command. And then what I'm doing here, I'm using the Q, or I can use a hyphen quiet, the long form. But I'm using Q to quiet the error messages. I'm sending the error messages to an error folder located here in this direction, and I'm using the 2 for errors. It's being redirected to the path, and let's see what happens. And the N is a dry run, so nothing should be copied over there but the rsync. And you go sit here and there's no A or B and you go sit there and you figure out what's going on here, and that doesn't seem to work. I mean, I'm gonna delete that for now because I don't need it. But so now you can, at this point in time, you would play around with this a little bit more, and make a long story short, I had spaces between the the commas. So I basically had a comma space, So, but if I shorten the space, it, you know, it works. So, and the error message, it did create an error, but there's nothing in the error file because there was no error raised. So that's basically a good way to troubleshoot this mechanism if you have problems. But that was just a syntax error. The next thing I want to do is start going into more detailed excludes. So now I have a whole series of excluding types. So excluding A and the top B directory and a specific file c.tiff. So the c.tiff is, where is that? It's not in A, it's not in B, and it seems like it's one in C. And yeah, so it's just in C. So it should be getting rid of that file in C also. So A, B, and C. So run that. Look at that. Doesn't seem to be there, and c.tiff is there. So clearly it worked. So you can go to, you can specify specific files too. You can get down to the granular detail in your file. And we already did the excludes for A and B. And that's the same one. So you can put these in different orders and they'll work. I don't want to go into that a little bit further. So the next thing is about so one thing you can do with rsync, you can include multiple source files that are being sent to a single destination. So here's the first thing. So this is where I'm going to begin doing the test1 folder and the test3 folder. So all of these and all of these are going to be moved into there. And looks like it's A, B, Z, and A, B, C, Z, and B, E, F, G, D, E, F, G, and J. And it looks like, you got everything over there. Now what I want to do is start introducing another useful thing. One of the things that's common when you're doing backups and stuff is you might not want to back up empty folders or empty directories. So here Z is an empty directory and J is an empty directory. So as right here, you got J is here, but you don't want to actually back up those items. So right here, the -m and the prune empty directories is the prune empty directory change from the file list. I'm going to use the long form to start with. Now, this should copy everything but the Z and J over. And as you see, Z and J is not in there, but all the other files are there, folders. Now you'll probably more realistically do that's you probably realistically would do the minus M. I'm going to put Q in there, so I can quiet, not display the. Well, yeah, never mind. Just stick with the script. So this should be the exact same thing, but using the M, the dash M, which is the short form of getting rid of, so there's no J or Z there. So I'm going to leave that in there for now. And I'm going to start adding additional items. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to exclude this command a slew of directories. So we're doing A, B, D, and all the files .text. So A, B is in test 1, and D is in test 3, and it's and then all the asterisks, all the tests. So you got A.text and you got B.text. So you run that. So A, B didn't go and D didn't go. So that's correct. So now this is how you're excluding directories. So now let's add the include files. So now let's include a specific file. So I'm looking for A.text. It's included. So A.text happens to be in the test1 one. A.text looks like it's over there, but B.text is not over there. And doesn't look like there's a. Is there another text? And I didn't. I'm not going to go to why. It does, let's see if there's another text file in there. So there's no C. So C. See, there's a B text and C. So that's got deleted. So obviously it's going into the other directories, are getting rid of everything except the A.text. So it's doing this. And there's I want to do a video on the precedence order too, because that has a lot of values. The man page and the help kind of explains a little bit of, the order of, the first, you're building a list of items to be copied over first. That's the first thing it does. So, and the first row that includes it or, excludes it basically is the one that gets applied. So that's kind of like why. So like this next example I have here, I have include A, include B, and so you have this one. Here, just put it in this bigger screen real quick. So I'm putting, you got to include a.text and exclude a, b, c, d text, and then you include b, but it's excluded in this one, so it should pretty much ignore it for the most part. Let's run it again. So it's been excluded, so the order of precedence takes an effect here. The next thing I want to show you is actually the right way to do it. If you want to, you put that before the item you're doing, so that's what this one is. So you see right here, I'm going to spread this out a little bit more. So you have include a.text and include b, and it's in this grouping of a, b, d, and text. And I know it's not really, normally you wouldn't even, if you wanted to include it, and exclude, you're pretty much gonna just not put it in here. But I'm just saying it's in this group to be excluded. But imagine if this was like a lower folder. I'm just doing this for simplicity's sake. So now, right here, because it's included, you should have a B over here, and B is there now. And I think this is pretty much a good description for the include statement, the exclude statement. More to exclude, but basically the include is just the further filtering of the data, and you can get more about how rsync filters from the man pages. Thank you. Talk to you later.